out. Like, hey, you're pitching Wednesday, bullpen Sunday, figured out, like kind of the scheduled out. And then obviously now that we're built up, they have like a pitch count on it. So like the one nice part about St. Lucie's field is it has the pitch count in left field. So like you come off, you strike out somebody, or you get somebody out in the fourth, and you're looking, you're like, all right, I have 30 pitches left. That's easily 2, maybe even 3. Like that, at least that's what I'm doing in my head, figuring out that. And like, if you're piggybacking, you're like, all right, well, if he comes out, I'm in, let's finish the game. Like if it's only 5 innings left, we can do that easily. And, but I mean, I would say coming into camp, I was like kind of dead set on trying to relieve, like be a closer or do something like that. And then Kevin Howard and Jono came up to me and they're like, hey, like, we want you to start. And I was like, okay, like, I guess. Like, I wasn't fully comfortable with starting it because in college it was like up and down a little bit, like results wise. And then my dad, I talked to my dad, and he's like, dude, like, you can start. Like, don't let anybody tell you can't start, anything like that. Like, hey, you could pitch 9 innings, you can do it. And I was like, you're right, like I can. And I think it was just kind of a mental thing for me, not mental in a bad way, but it was just like trying to be one, I guess, just put in a box. And then they came up to me and told me that. My dad told me, like, okay, fine, I'll start. Like, I don't care. And then I really do enjoy the routine of starting, like knowing, hey, you're going this day. But then another part of me really likes the aspect of like not the surprise, but like, hey, Seymour, get hot, you're going in, and you're like running around going crazy. Like, it's kind of fun, and then you kind of have a little more adrenaline going, like, all right, I'm coming in, I'm getting these outs, and then we're shaking hands, for like high fives, that's what I like too. But honestly, I think I'm leaning more towards being started. Like, my preference would be starting over relieving at this point.
That's pretty interesting. I know even all these draft gurus, everyone's got something to say. And I know with you, I guess even still, but anyone who kind of throws in the upper 90s, they're always like, oh yeah, let it fly, man. Whatever your walk rate is, your K rate, let it fly, hit 99, pitch your inning. I wonder if it even changes some of your mindset. It might even made you that version of, even makes me more of a pitcher, knowing that starter means all the extra multiple innings. Even in today's game, relievers anyway are pitching 2-3 innings apparently. But I wonder, does it actually almost change your game slightly from being that guy, I'm going to throw fire for an inning? Oh, I could also start, but by the way, you're going to be starting consistently in pro ball right now. Does it even like a different click in your head as far as even changing your approach and your pitching and the arm velocity and everything else from the beginning, being a starter now?
I would say me and Mike and I have this conversation a lot. We're like, back in college, or like, for me, it was college. For Mike, he was just always throwing gas. But we were on like average, like having a high average velo is way better than having a topping out at 99, but then slowly but surely being 91 at the 5th inning. So I guess I would say starting is like being able to be consistent and hold that velo is just way, like, for me, that's, I think, way more impressive than, well, throwing 100 is pretty impressive too. Like, that's always a dream. But for me, like, my mentality as a starter would be, let's mix up, like, any pitch, any count. Like, here we go. Like, we have plenty of batters to play with, plenty of time, all this. But like, when you're a reliever, it's kind of crunch time. Like, hey, throw your best pitches. And I'm not saying none of my pitches are bad. I'm just saying, like, if I'm going to throw my best pitches, I'm going to throw my best pitches. And like, it's a different amount of focus, I would say. Like, you're super in the zone, like, right, because that's it for when you're relieving. But when you're starting, you're like, all right, what did I throw this guy his last at bat? If I got him out, what did he do? If I walked him, like, what was his approach? So then you play that game, and then you also have to play the game where, okay, what's my scouting report that they have on me, and how do we battle that? Because my favorite thing is hearing hitters and, like, in any dugout be like, the scouting report is just off. Like, anytime you can get a hitter confused or mad, like, you've already won half. That's half the battle right there, because then you got that energy kind of in the dugout, and then you're just rolling at that point. And I kind of like, I would say, not playing the villain, but like, that's kind of villainous, if you will.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's just kind of how I roll.
That's awesome. Well, hey, then being a scout for yourself, and of course, not giving up too much information, but uh, hype yourself. Tell me, what is your assortment of pitches for this year? How many pitches have you been using, and what are they?
Yeah, so we've been kind of just, I would say, Vic was always telling me, hey, we got to just get data when you're out there. And I was like, all right. And like one of my biggest things, I think, from like college and last year in pro ball versus this year is like being unpredictable and not falling into like a certain set pattern. And I would say that's kind of been the approach, is having uncertainty, because then hitters just are just, I don't even know. They just go, I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully I get lucky, and but my pitches right now, I've been playing with both 4-seam and 2-seam, kind of just figuring out which fastball I want to use more. It just kind of depends on the hitter, depends on the count. And then been working change up a lot, and then curveball and like a slider that I call a cutter, but it's really a slider.
Oh, nice. One day you'll confuse Gary Cohen on SNY. It's like when they're doing the stat cast and they call it one thing. So maybe you'll give them the heads up so they'll know which one it is.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're pretty, like, you can tell which one's which for sure on film. And yeah, but it's just been like fun just playing catch and developing pitches, and then talking to other guys about their pitch grips and like what they do, watching YouTube and watching like just Instagram videos. And I just like always like kind of learning what other guys do and see if it can be applied to me. If not, then whatever, throw it away on the next one.
Oh. So even